science that is locating places on Earth. So we'll start with a quote stated by Aryabhatta. So here it states that the globe of the Earth stands in space made up of water, earth, fire and air, and it is spherical, and it is surrounded by all creatures which are both on land and in water. So in this chapter, we will be concerned with these three main questions. That is, what is a map and how do we use it? And what are coordinates? And how is the local time and standard time related to longitude? We will be completing this chapter in two parts. Imagine that you are visiting a city for the first time. How could you find the places you want to visit? You might ask a local person for help, or you might look for a map of the city. So in the previous grades, you have learned a little about maps. So in this chapter, we'll study more in detail about maps. So we'll understand what is the use of map, how do we identify the places on the map, and what can be represented on different categories of maps. Let us examine the map of the city which is given in the NCERT, and imagine that you just got off a train at the railway station and you want to go to the bank which is marked or mapped on the map. So you have got off from the railway station and you need to reach the bank. Which way would you go? It can either be done in this way or it can be done in this way. So there are many ways to reach a bank. It depends on your convenience. And next, are there any other possible ways? We have already seen all the possible ways. And can you locate the garden, the school and museum? So the garden in map can easily be identified as garden contains a lot of trees. So you can say this is the garden, and this is the museum, and this is the school. If you want to proceed from bank to market, so you are at the bank and you wanted to proceed to the market, then which way would you go? And there is where the map comes handy. So with the help of this map, you will be able to identify how to go from the bank to the market. So from this, we can understand that a map is a guide which shows you where things are and how to get to them. You can notice 4 arrows on top of the right corner of the map. This. So what is it? You'll soon see how they point to the specific ways and make maps even more helpful. So they represent north, south, east and west. So it aids us in helping to go in which way you wanted to reach your final place. Now we will study a map and its components. So from this simple example, we understand that a map is a representation or drawing of some area. It may be a small area, which is a village or a city, or a bigger area, say your state or your place where you live at, or a very large area like India or even the whole world. We can represent in a map. So in a map, you look at the surface as if you are viewing it from the aerial view. So here it is very important to note that an atlas is a book or a collection of maps. So when we have a collection of maps, then we call it as atlas, as a book. So there are several kinds of maps. So the first is the physical maps, so which mainly shows some natural features such as mountains, oceans and rivers. So on a physical map, we represent the plateaus, the western and the eastern Ghats, and all can be represented on physical maps. the political maps, which show the details of countries or the state boundaries. So we know that in the previous grades we used to mark the state and its capital. So with this all can be done when we have these states which are already identified on the map, and you can easily mark the state capital. So these are the political maps. Next is the thematic maps with a specific kind of information. So they'll be concerning about a particular thing, like for example, if you want to represent all the ports in a country or all the water bodies, so they are the thematic maps which have a particular theme in their representation. In addition to these, there are three important components of a map. Those three are as follows. And we have already experienced the first two while navigating the main components of the map. Now, have you ever wondered how a huge place can fit on a small piece of paper? So your whole country cannot be placed in a paper as with the same number of kilometers. So it all thanks to the map scale. So when we go back to the map of a small city, then each centimeter on the map as printed here represents a certain amount of meters. That is, let us suppose it is 500 meters. We say that 1 centimeter is equal to 500 meters. So 1 centimeter will represent 500 meters. Now, the scale is represented in the bottom left corner. It is very important to note that the scale should always be represented on the bottom left corner by a ruler with 500 written above its length and kilometers on the side. It simply means that this ruler, which measures 2.5 centimeters in the printed map, corresponds to 500 kilometers on the ground. So the actual length between 2 points represented on the map depends on the scale that the map is using. So let us now understand what are the marked arrows on the map: north, south, east and west. So they point to the four, that is N means north at the top, and moving clockwise, that is east, and then south and west, and they claim to be the cardinal ways, also called the cardinal points. Other than these, intermediates are also there, that is northeast, southeast, southwest and northwest. These can be represented in the graph which is provided. And then usually only a N can also be given, so that easily we can write the rest of the cardinal points by our own, like this, because in the clockwise we know the order to be north, east, south and west. Now we'll be studying about symbols. So symbols are another important components of the map. So our map have small drawings of the actual buildings. We've already understood those in the first map. That is, for a school we have a diagram, for a hospital we have a diagram, for a railway station we have a diagram, for a police station we have a diagram. So all these are the symbols to actually represent the actual buildings and few other elements, but there could not be enough space on the map of the large city to actually represent them as they look. So we have or they take the aid of symbols. So symbols are the different kinds of buildings. For instance, a railway station, a school or a post office. For roads and railway lines, and for natural elements such as river, a pond or a forest. In that way, numerous details can be shown in a limited space available on the map. To make maps more easily understood by a variety of users, map makers use specific symbols. So anyone who reads the map from around the world can understand what is actually represented in the map. Therefore, we use universal symbols so that everyone can understand. Different countries use different sets of symbols. Survey of India, a government body, has fixed a set of symbols. It is very important to know that the Survey of India, a government body, has set up fixed symbols for the map of India or various parts of India. A small selection we can see in this picture. So here we can understand that a railway line should be represented like this, a railway station like this, roads which are metal should be like this, non-metal like this, international boundaries, state boundaries, and these are the boundaries, and river, well, the tank, canal, and the bridge, the temple, church, mosque, chhatri, the post office, the post and the telegraph office, the police station, settlement, graveyard, trees, and grass. These are the specific symbols which are assigned by the Survey of India, a government body. Now, mapping the earth. So, mapping the earth is a little more difficult because our planet is not a flat surface. So, we've already seen it is spherical in shape. So, it nearly has the shape of a sphere. And we say nearly because it is not a perfectly sphere, but it is slightly flattened at the poles, that is North Pole and the South Pole. However, in practice, we'll consider it to be spherical. For our convenience, we say it to be spherical. Representing a sphere actually on a flat sheet of paper is not possible. To understand why, we can do this when we actually peel off an orange in such a way that you have just 3 or 4 large pieces of the skin and then try to flatten them on ground. You'll see that you cannot do it without actually bringing down the edges. So now we'll consider a globe. We all might have already seen a globe, and which is a sphere on which a map is drawn. This may be a map of the earth, the moon, the planet Mars, the stars and constellations on the sky. The physical object, like the one shown in the drawing on the next page, is a sphere that is actually made of metal, plastic, or a cardboard. So here we'll study the globe representing the Earth's geography, because globe and the Earth have same spherical shape, and the globe will better represent the geography of the Earth than a flat map. Now we'll understand the coordinates. We can understand coordinates with the following examples. So imagine a big market in a city or any other place with a neat rows of shops, all of the same size. So you wanted to meet a friend at the stationery shop inside the market, but your friend will not know where the shop is. So you could give him some understanding by saying him to meet at the 7th shop in the 5th row from the entrance. So it could make your friend to more precisely understand your location and reach there. It makes his job easy. Now consider a chessboard. To record moves by advanced players, letters are placed along with the main pieces from A to H. So from numbers 1 to 8 in between the two sides. So this simple system allows the players to mark each square and record every move. Here the white side has just opened the game by moving the queen pawn 2 squares forward, a common opening. So the pawn is said to have moved from D2 to D4. This makes our representation and recording more easier. So here we can understand the use of coordinates. So this is a system used in these two examples may be called as systems of coordinates. So thanks to their two coordinates, the stationery shop as well as the chessboard on the chessboard on the chess square can precisely actually make us understand the use of coordinates. So a simple system of coordinates is used in the world of maps. to understand the location of any place on the map. So in the next part, we'll be studying with the latitudes.